2,000 years, has 11 more years before it collapses and becomes the Mingguo time, the Republic of China. Okay.
这个故事是在光绪26年，虚老上61岁的时候发生的事情。讲的是树棺盖玉器不具，这虚老上没有地方睡，都睡在一个棺材的盖子上头。结果那个棺材里头有个乞丐在里头睡觉，结果大家肯定要看到就晓得。So this is a story when the Venerable Master was 61 years old, and there was one night he had no place to sleep, and found out a broken temple, and there was a coffin there. So, and the coffin, the cover was turned upside down, so he just slept on the top of the coffin. And then the story keep going.
棺盖玉器不具玉器不具 spending the night on a coffin cover, meeting a beggar, not being frightened. Okay, sounds like fun. Here we go. 西行途中，夜宿破庙，持衣冠，盖仰之无人，宿盖上。半夜，关中大动数次，有声曰：“我要出来。”问：“你是人是鬼？”曰：“是人。”问：“是什么人？”曰：“是讨饭的。”公笑起，令出，状丑如鬼。小姐复睡，天数公醒。OK。
I explain this in Chinese first, then Reverend Hsu will say this in English. 这是去老上往西去的时候，在路上，晚上在一间破庙里头睡觉，里头什么东西都没有，只有一个棺材啊。这棺材的盖是盖，它开着仰出来，就是翻过来。那他知道没有人嘛，就是树盖上，他就在这个棺材的盖上睡觉。半夜的时候，棺材里头大动数次，动了好几次，然后有声音说：“我要出去，我要出来。”可以，那虚老上就问他说：“你是人还是鬼？”对方说是人。虚老上问说：“是什么人？”回答是：“我是个乞丐，讨饭的。”那虚老上就笑了，让他出来。那这个乞丐看起来很丑啊，像鬼一样。他去上了小号以后，又回去睡觉。天亮的时候呢，虚老上就继续往西走去。
笑起，令出，状丑如鬼。小姐复睡，天数公醒。Okay, funny story. The master walked to the west, and at nightfall he came upon a dilapidated temple in which there was nothing but a coffin with an inverted cover. The lid of the coffin was upside down. Assuming there was nobody inside, the master slept on top. At midnight, something made the coffin shake back and forth. "Let me out," said a voice. The master replied, "Are you a man or a ghost?" "I'm a man," came the answer. "Who are you?" asked the master. "I'm a beggar," came the reply. So Master Empty Cloud laughed and got up, and he let a man out of the coffin who was as ugly as a ghost. The beggar went out to urinate and came back to sleep, and at dawn the master took his leave. Okay, so there's an encounter, and why mention this? I'll give you my understanding of why. So here's a broken down temple. Here's the guy climbing out of the beggar climbing out of the coffin, and Master Empty Cloud kind of waiting for dawn. Dawn has come. So.
所以这个是那个图画， 看到这是一个破的庙，那么这个棺材是在这儿，这个乞丐就从棺材里头出来还是回去了。那虚云老和尚坐在旁边，释法师等下会讲说为什么上人会选这个故事。
性定魔福朝朝乐，妄念不起处处安，正大光明无所谓，待人如己有何分。 Excellent poem. Let's take a look at the just.
这是上人写的偈颂，记得上人在每一个故事后面都会写四句偈，讲的性定魔福朝朝乐，像这个大家都很熟了。妄念不起处处安，这是一个像对联一样。你如果你的性定了，你会把魔给伏了，所以每天都是很快乐。你妄念不起来的话，到处都是很平安的地方，很祥的地方。正大光明无所谓。如果是正大光明的人的话，你心里你不会害怕任何东西。像这个遇到半夜里头遇到乞丐一样，然后棺材里头有人出声，虚云老和尚因为他是正大光明，所以他不会有什么畏惧。待人如己有何分？人家也看成你自己，是你和别人是一体的话，那有什么分别？
The structure of the poem, so people can appreciate Shifu's skill here. So nature, focused, fixed, demon, subdued, every day, happy. Okay, got the structure? Because why? We have a matching couplet. Wang nian, false thinking, bu qi, don't arise, chu chu an, everywhere peaceful. So happy, peaceful, chao 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 every day, chu chu every place. Mo fu, demon subdued, bu qi not arising, xing ding nature fixed, wang nian false thinking, right? So it's not a perfect match of a couplet, but it's an excellent balance, a parallel structure. Then, right, huge, bright light, not at all afraid. Treating people like yourself, where is any difference? Right? So beautiful, beautiful, balanced sentiment, showing compassion. This is the Mahayana. With the nature and samadhi, the demons are quelled. Every day is joyful. With false thoughts no longer rising, everywhere is peaceful. The Master's brilliant light shone forth to banish fear. Treat others as yourself. There is no difference. Or is there no difference? We should be with a question mark. Is there any difference? So that's expression of great compassion. Now, why would Shifu pick this particular story to make it an episode? Because it's important to appreciate how Chinese culture deals with ghosts. And everybody goes, ha 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 ha, nervously, ha 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 ha. So why? It's because it's really, really true.
徐老师讲说，为什么上人会选这个故事？就是释法师他认为是因为中国人对鬼呢有特别的不同的想法。
15th day of the 7th lunar month is the day of the ending of the Buddha's summer retreat, and we call that Ulampan. And the true story about Ulambana is that Madhyayana saw his mother was suffering and asked the Buddha for a way to save her. And the Buddha said, get the Sangha together, get people to make offerings to them. They will recite mantras and Buddha's names and sutras and cross over all your relatives. 9 generations will get crossed over. So that was the beginning of called 佛欢喜日, the day of the Buddha's rejoicing, is when the Sanghas crossing over ghosts out of the hills. Madhgayana's mother was saved. Okay.
孙法师讲到7月15，阴历7月15，云南棚刚好下礼拜就是了，这个时间。所以在佛教里头，7月15是云南棚节。那这个故事是因为，摩诃目犍连尊者他开了天眼以后，他想要找他的母亲，看到的是他母亲是堕到鬼道，所以他想去解救他母亲，但是他没有那个能力。他就会去请问佛陀怎么办？佛陀就跟他讲说，要7月15那天要公生了，所以就这一串的故事，然后就变成一个佛教里的一个很重要的节日。就7月15的时候，大家就是公生。那如果你是虔诚的话，应该是过去去世的父母都会超度到。
Okay. Chinese culture took that amazing Buddhist story and turned it into 鬼节, right? It's the day of the ghosts, the holiday of the ghosts. The Japanese took it and made Obon Matsuri out of it, where you dance a dance and you put a cloth around your head, and it became completely divorced from the Buddhist story, which is filial respect, repaying kindness, crossing over your ancestors. So there's an example of how the Chinese treat ghosts. This idea of ghosts is so deeply embedded in Chinese culture. Take a look.
那在中国呢，这个阴历7月15日变成是一个鬼节，叫中元节。那释法师他认为是因为中国人把这个云南棚节改成那样子，但是我个人的看法是，这恐怕是因为道教的关系，不一定是从佛教这边过来的。这边接下来释法师是在谈这个中国的文化里头的这个鬼的情形怎么样？这边有很多的名字在这边，因此。
Here's the word 鬼, ghost. Wine ghost is an alcoholic, 酒鬼. Smoke ghost, 烟鬼, heavy smoker, chain smoker. 赌鬼, 赌鬼, gambling addict, compulsive gambler, is a gambling ghost. 色鬼, lecher, pervert, somebody who is a ghost about beauty. 懒鬼, lazy bones, lazy person, right? 胆小鬼, coward, small, somebody with this, 胆 is gallbladder, small gallbladder ghost is a coward. 馋鬼, glutton, somebody who stuffs their face. 机灵鬼, clever person, quick-witted individual, right? Smarty pants. 捣蛋鬼, mischief maker, troublemaker. 淘气鬼, naughty child, playful troublemaker, somebody who's always trying to get into trouble. 哭鬼, crybaby. 小鬼, rascal, brat. 倒霉鬼, unlucky person, somebody who's just always had bad luck. 吝啬鬼, miser, stingy person. 守财鬼, money hoarder, somebody obsessed with wealth, right? Money bags. 傻鬼, silly person. 阴鬼, ghostly spirit. This is a scary one, right? Actual 鬼. 丑鬼, ugly person. This can be a humorous insult, but it can also just mean somebody who's really, really ugly. 疯鬼, madman, crazy person. 死鬼. So dead ghost, meaning that's a kind of an affectionate name for your friend. Dead ghost. Okay, so these.
这些名字我应该不需要翻译了，因为大家都懂。但是其中有几个，就是我们经常看到的。我晓得释法师有一些这个词是从哪里来的。
Look at these important, like in English, we've got a fool, we've got a miser, we've got a brat, we've got a crybaby, we got a troublemaker, we got a savvy character, a glutton, a coward, a lazybones, a lecher, a gambler, a smoker, a drunkard, all with the word gui at the end. So Chinese, you can have very sophisticated, very intellectual Chinese professor, and if you mention that you've seen a ghost, he'll tremble. He turns into a kid seeing a horror movie. It is so pervasive in Chinese culture. Casper the Friendly Ghost never happened in China. Remember growing up, Casper the Friendly Ghost, the friendliest ghost you know. The grown-ups might run from him in fright, but the children all love him so, right? So in the West, ghosts were like Walt Disney cartoon characters. They were lovable and all. And if you had a haunted house in your neighborhood, it was more cool than it was scary.
在中国的文化里头，这个鬼都是很恐怖的。但在西方，刚刚释法师唱的那首歌，那个其实是西方的一个鬼，但是那个鬼是很有趣的，是像漫画里头一样。所以这是在东西文化里头有一个很大的差别。
Not in China, not in Vietnam. Ghosts are no fun, right? So it's interesting. So here we have. So why bring that up? Master Empty Cloud what is he doing? He is walking through China. He's up in Shandong province, and he's walking along, and night falls, and he's a monk. He doesn't carry money. He doesn't have, contacts. What do? He sees a broken down temple. Oh, I'll go sleep in the broken down temple. And already, I know a lot of people who would go, "Ayo, pa." He doesn't. He's not afraid. Oh, what does he find? In the broken down temple, there's a beat up coffin. Oh, doubly scary. Like, gunbun, bukan. You don't want to go close to a coffin in a temple. And he says, okay, well, I'll sleep on top of the coffin.
这个故事一开始其实是之前虚云老和尚他是从山东那边去了孔夫子的故乡去，以后回来往西走的时候，就在这个路上，因为没有地方住，能看到一间破庙，所以他就在破庙那边过夜。一般人看到破庙的话，大概心里都会寒寒的。尤其这个庙里头又有一个棺材，那更是令人恐惧的事情。但是虚云和尚并不害怕，他就在那边打算在那边过夜。
Why not? Tomorrow morning I'll get up and continue my travels. Well, he lies down on this upturned, inverted coffin lid, and from underneath the coffin, it starts to move. And somebody goes, "Oh, what are you doing? Let me out, let me out." So right at that point, most of the Chinese I know who are part of Chinese culture would, that's it. They're done. They're out of there. They're running away. Because clearly it's going to be what else comes out of a coffin at night, in the dark? A vampire. We would go, ooh, vampire. So,
那记得那故事是到半夜的时候，那个虚云老上是睡在一个棺材上头，棺材盖是翻过来的，然后他就睡在这棺材盖上头。结果到了半夜的时候，棺材里头，棺材就在动了好几次，然后还有声音说他要出来。这对一般人而言呢会吓坏了，我就跑掉。虚云老上不动声色的，而且没有什么问题，他就问说：“是什么人？是人还是鬼？”对方说是人呢。问他是什么人，说是个乞丐。那他就让这个乞丐出来。就这样的，一般人大概就早就跑掉了。
So Master Empty Cloud doesn't. He has a dialogue with it. He starts a conversation. Oh, what are you? I'm not a ghost. Get off of my bed. You're keeping me in my bed, and I have to go pee. Probably some old guy has kidney trouble. So So Master Empty Cloud discovers he's a beggar. Okay, sure, sorry, I apologize for obstructing your need to go relieve yourself at night. So this is, I think Master Hua brings this up to show how a Buddhist monk with real compassion sees ghosts as living beings on their way to Buddhahood as well. 鬼道, 鬼法界, 恶鬼法界. The Dharma realm of hungry ghosts is very real for somebody who understands the Buddha Dharma.
所以，上人会写这个故事，有一个原因，就是因为你如果是修行到像宣导上一个程度的话，他把鬼道也看成是这个法界之一，所以他不会去害怕这个鬼道的众生，因为他了解鬼道的众生其实就和我们是一样的，大家都有佛性，都可以成佛的。
Master Hua described the realm of ghosts as bureaucratic and as layered as the realm of humans. If you go downtown to the CBD here in Australia, central business district of any town, you're going to run into tourists, you're going to run into secretaries on the lunch break, you're going to run into CEOs and bus drivers and school kids, right? All these different realms of humanity. Master Hua described the realm of ghosts as the same mixed up quality. There are ghost soldiers, there are ghost bosses, there are ghost slaves, there are ghosts that are bound to evil smells, there are ghosts that haunt flowers, you know. There's all of these different categories of ghosts, never mind the notion that when we leave our body at death, before we reincarnate, what travels? Well, you'd say the Zhongyin Shen, there's these names for it, the intermediate skanda body, it's a ghost.
上人曾经讲过，这个在轨道的众生有很多不同类，就像我们人类一样，社会上有各式各样的人，各式各样的职业，有的穷人，有的是很富有的，有的是当老板的，有的当司机的，种种不同的职业，各种不同的人。那在轨道里头也是一样，有很多不同的轨道的众生，有的他们是我们通常讲有财鬼的，无财鬼，有的是有势力的，也是没有势力的，是穷的，有的是富的，所以各式各样不同的轨道的众生很多很多。
So we, in our bodies, are not ghosts. Once we leave them, if we haven't been reborn yet, there you are, you know. So now,
那我们往生以后，就是那个中阴身，这中阴身其实就是一种鬼，那所以就是我们都曾经经过轨道这一道里头。
Do I know that myself? Do I remember when I was outside of my body in last life? No, I don't. But the people who have their eyes open say this is indeed our state. So a Buddhist has a very
我们当然都不记得我们曾经经过中阴身这个阶段，但是有人开眼的人能够看得到，确实是这样子。我们确实都会经过中阴身这个阶段。那中阴身这个其实就是个轨道的众生。
different perspective on the realm of ghosts, especially hungry ghosts who are really, really suffering. So this is maybe a reason why we have Master Empty Cloud not afraid as he is awakened by a beggar who has to get out and relieve himself in the night in a broken down temple. Okay, there's story number one. Oh my goodness. So, all of you storytellers, eat your heart out. I know you wish you had incredible material like this, stories to tell. Too good, too good. Okay, continuing down the road. 不康庄风鬼兵附近，
这是下一个故事，这是不康庄逢鬼兵附近，就是在路上碰到鬼兵了。这鬼兵其实指的洋人了，洋鬼，我们中国人讲洋鬼的，洋人的兵，但是他不害怕。
Let's see, 鬼病伏经 that's the right tone there. Here we go. 私时义和团作乱，山东各县。一日将行路中，与一洋兵以枪相向，问公怕是否？公曰：倘于盖斯如手，任便。洋鬼兵见公，身号不动，不进不步，曰：好的，你去。公遂赶赴舞台，心相避，以乱故回平。
故事就是说，当时呢是义和团在作乱，尤其在山东那边。那有一天，他正在路上走的时候，碰到一个洋兵，西方应该是外国人兵。然后这个洋兵呢，有带着枪，枪指着虚云老和尚，问他说：“你怕死吗？”虚云老和尚问他说：“如果我该死在你的手上的话，就请便啊。”那这个洋兵啊，看到虚云老和尚，他丝毫不动，丝毫不动，就是一点都没有害怕的，不惊不怖，就说：“好的，那你去吧。”就放了虚云老和尚，虚云老和尚就赶赴五台，本来要去五台山的，这边上了香以后。就因为那边很乱嘛，所以他就回到北京去了，应该是北京吧，好像。
北京就 Chaos prevailed in the counties of Shandong province at this time, due to the Boxer rebellion. One day, the master encountered a foreign soldier while walking along the road. The soldier pointed his gun at him and asked the master, "Are you afraid of death?" The master replied, "If I'm supposed to die by your hand, then go ahead." When the foreign soldier saw the master was not flustered, he would not be intimidated or scared, he said, "Okay, you can go." The master then proceeded on to Wutai Mountain. After offering incense, he returned to Beijing due to the disturbance in Shandong. Wow, another encounter, right? So here he is. Interestingly, the soldier looks like an American soldier, and I'll tell you why that's important point. Here's our pilgrim walking on with his patched robe. Here's a guard tower with two soldiers in there. And
这个童话里头，这个是洋兵，是吧？说这个看起来像美国兵一样。他觉得这是一个重要的地方。等一下会解释他为什么认为这个像是美国兵一样。那这个就是虚云老和尚的。有一个关台，这个塔里头有两个兵在那边。
He's at the sea coast. 猝然临师不恐惊，只缘因果一分清。杀人偿命毫不错，欠债还钱律不容。
是上面写的其中，猝然临师就是突然碰到了，但是虚老上不害怕，只缘因果一分清，就是因为他了解因果是丝毫不爽的。杀人偿命绝不会错，杀了人一定要偿命，这个是丝毫不爽。欠债还钱呢，律不容。你欠人家债一定要还钱的，这也是一定的定律。
abruptly accosted by the mercenary, the master was unafraid. Being clear that cause and effect is already decided. After killing someone, you repay with your own life, no mistake. You may not fail to repay long-standing debts. Okay, well, one thing that comes to mind is people will recall in the Sixth Patriarch Sutra, Flying Cat Zhang Fei Mao. Remember the story? He was hired to assassinate the Sixth Patriarch, and he swung his sword, and the Sixth Patriarch didn't die. It didn't hurt him. And of course, the assassin, he's a hitman. He's like terrified because this has never happened before. And the Sixth Patriarch says, I only owe you money. I don't owe you my life.
师法师这边讲到六祖坛经里头的一段故事，这个是智彻法师的，他的绰号叫做肥毛长。那他是被神秀大师的弟子们收买了，雇他要来刺杀六祖大师。六祖大师其实他心痛，他晓得有人要来杀他，所以他事先其实就准备了10两的金子，放在座位那边。但是晚上，这个肥毛长就进来了，他准备要砍熏老六祖大师的头，六祖大师就把他的脖子伸长长的，让这个肥毛长砍他的头，结果这个肥毛长砍了3次，一点损伤都没有，把这个肥毛长给吓坏了。熏老上不是熏老上，这个六祖大师还说：“我只欠你钱啊，我不欠你金子，我不欠你的命。”这个肥毛长听了就吓坏了，就昏倒了，就是这个故事。
So, don't be afraid, and if you come back and look for me later after you escape, I'll teach you the Dharma. So, because the Sixth Patriarch is able to see 前因后果, prior causes and past effects, he knows that this is not his time to die. So he can stick out his neck at the assassin and say, go ahead, try your best, you know. So, Master...
那这个等了好一阵子，这个肥毛长就苏醒起来，那个六祖大师就跟他讲说，这个肥毛长他就忏悔了，他知道这个六祖大师不是凡夫啊，所以他就说要出家。那六祖大师跟他讲说，你现在还不是时候，你赶快离开，以后过了一阵子以后再回来，那我会收你。说我只欠你钱啊，所以他把那个10两的金子就给这个肥毛长。师父在讲完就说，这个六祖大师因为他有神通，他知道有宿命通，他晓得过去一生的因缘，他是欠了这个肥毛长10两金子，所以他就这辈子就还他这个金子，但是他没有欠他的命，所以这个肥毛长他的刀在地，剑在地，也没有办法砍下他的头。
Empty cloud must be in the same situation here. So it's a fairly simple encounter. The soldier meets the monk and says, you know, I'm going to kill you. The monk says, go ahead. The soldier goes, whoa, you're not afraid. And the master explains principle, and he lets him go. Then notice he goes to Wutai from Beijing, which is not, they're both way up north, they're not so distant, but
虚老上也应该和六祖大师是类似的，他很了解这个因果丝毫不少，所以他会 一点害怕都没有。他就对这个养兵讲说：“我如果该死在你手里呢，那就请便了；我若欠你命的话，当然就还命。”那这个养兵们看到虚云老和尚这个神情一点都不动，好，没有惊吓，一点惊吓都没有，所以就让虚云老和尚离开。虚云老和尚他直接要到五台山去的。
At Wutaishan, the news comes that China is in turmoil, and so he says this is not a good place to be. He offers incense and then comes back to Beijing, where things are going to be a little more secure, a little more stable. All right. Notice one thing to point out is, look at this. On the title, 鬼兵, ghost soldier. Again, here is ghost used as a term of reproach, I guess, to call him Yang Gui Bing, right? A foreign ghost soldier. Yang Gui, it's a foreign ghost. There you go. So I've been called Yang Gui into my face multiple times.
这边我们看到这个“洋鬼”这个词，所以中国人把西方人也叫“洋鬼”。那实话实说，他有人是当着面叫他“洋鬼子”，有几次的。
A ghost foreigner. So here's another chance for the Chinese to colloquially incorporate the word ghost into a term that they want to show disdain or abuse to that individual. All right. When we say a mercenary soldier accosted Master Empty Cloud, I wonder what they look like. What do you suppose those soldiers look like? Maybe they look like this. Maybe they look like this in the forbidden city of Beijing.
是吧？是在谈到这个，那时候是有8国联军呢，来攻中国，就是这些洋兵啊，到底是什么样子？是不是这样子
？Look like maybe they look like this. Maybe they look like this.
像这样子。
In the forbidden city of Beijing. Maybe they look like this.
也许是像这样子。各国人。
Take a look. These are the foreign soldiers who invaded or were set loose in China during the Boxer Rebellion. 8 different countries.
是8国联军8个国家的军队来攻击中国。
This one's obviously India, isn't it? Look at these characters. Look at his hat. Italian, absolutely Italian. No doubt about it. Japan, Italy, I was going to say US. This is probably US. Here's Germany. See the Kaiser hat, Kaiser helmet? India. Here's England. Yeah, Russian. Okay, so you can very easily imagine Master Empty Cloud running into these characters, right? And here they are, Indian troops on parade rest. Here are German and Indian troops with their bayonet, his pith helmet. Right? There they are, holding their rifles with their puttees, their riding boots. Check out look at this character. Run into him on the road. Okay, These are German troops with captured Boxer flags. What in the world is going on?
这些他们是把那个义和团军队的旗子给收起来，就是。
Why are all these troops? These are French colonial infantry marching through the French concession in
是法国的军队在天津那边。
Tianjin. So you're a citizen of Tianjin, you hear the drums, you hear the flutes and the horns, right? Playing a French military song. These are Italian troops. All these photos come from China. These are who? Japanese Marines who defended the legation council in Beijing. So what's the story? What in the world? These are, okay, check out the Russians. Just look at the beards. Look at this guy. Cossacks. And they've got their little Chinese mascot. Yeah, these guys are brutal. They have successfully, no, the Russian Revolution has not happened yet. It's got 1917. So these are the ones who overthrew the Tsar. Look at this guy.
这是俄国的军队，他们后来是把那个他们的俄皇给推翻了。
Yeah. So, poor China, these are 3 American soldiers. They look like cowboys.
是3个美国军人，看起来像牛仔一样。
This guy could have come right from the gold rush, right? So what's going on? So the story goes that in Shandong province, China was in difficulty because of the Qing dynasty were Manchurians, and they invaded and overthrew the Ming, which were Han Chinese. So the Manchus, there was already unrest, and there were rebellious groups, rebellious elements that resented the fact that the Manchus were ruling China. So there's already a source of trouble. And that internal civil war is what weakened China. The Opium War had already.
为什么会有8国联军这个攻打中国呢？说起来就是清朝，其实他们是满洲人，原来是明朝是汉人，但是因为后来满人从东北进关来，就把中国给占住了，所以满人就是在统治中国，汉人是很不服气，所以有这个问题存在着，所以就是当然有一些人就希望说把满洲人再赶走，然后后来这个清朝的朝廷就越来越腐败。就也发生了像鸦片战争这一类的事情。
Come and gone. The British forced the Chinese to use opium for their own profit, for the profit of the British who were selling it. And so China was already weakened again in a war. The Japanese.
英国是很存心不良，它是特别在印度那边种的罂粟。就制造鸦片，就是卖给强迫嘛，卖给中国人，让中国很多人就上了瘾。中国人当然就是身体不好，没有办法，那个国家也不强。
Had invaded China, and the Chinese, the faithful, patriotic Chinese hated that. So China was in big trouble in terms of finding its identity into the 20th century.
同时，日本也侵略了中国， 所以中国那时候是一个很弱、很糟糕的情况。当然有一些人是原来汉人嘛，他们希望能够把中国给振兴起来。
In Shandong, peasants, particularly not to say not army, and certainly not intelligentsia, but ordinary farmers arose and studied Taoist martial arts, learned mantras, and said, we are going to overthrow the Japanese, the foreigners, and the Christians.
那在山东那边有一些农民呢，他们就组织起来，他们学了武术，还有种种的技艺，甚至说他们要把日本人、其他西方人军队给赶跑。
So we're going to create the Yi He Quan, Yi He Tuan, the movement of the righteous fist, right? The righteous harmonious fist, the boxers. So the boxers are known as the Yi He Tuan, Yi He Quan. And they believed that if they recited their mantras and swung their swords and held on to their flags, bullets couldn't kill them.
那他们组织的义和团，他们相信说，他们只要念咒，然后他们有剑，还有他们的旗子的话，他们是刀枪不入，不怕子弹。
Swords couldn't hurt them. So around China, starting in Shandong in particular, churches were burned, foreigners were assassinated. There was a lot of bloodshed by these individuals. Take a look at who we're talking about.
那这些义和团的人呢，就是到处西方人的教堂烧掉，甚至谋杀了西方人，所以当时情形是非常乱。
Here they are. These are the peasants. They've got special mantras printed on their clothing, feeling that this will protect them from.
这些原来是农民的，他们衣服上头有他们的咒啊，他们认为有这个咒的话，可以保护着他们。
20th century war. Bullets and such. Here is a soldier with a boxer soldier. So this may be exactly the kind of thing that Master Empty Cloud saw, right? There's a British soldier.
这是一个英国的军人。
The Boxer Rebellion, you can see what happened as a result, was mass retaliation from whom? Now, these are Yi He Tuan marching through Beijing. These are illiterate peasants who have a deep belief in the power of their faith to rid China of foreigners, particularly Japanese invaders, and Christians.
这些是义和团的军队，在北京，他们都是一些农人呢，也是没有知识，他们就认为说他们的咒了这些东西可以保护着他们，所以他们是要把日本人、西方人给赶跑。
So they saw themselves as the saviors of the Qing dynasty. They were trying to put China back in charge of its own fate because the British had destabilized it with the Opium War and foreigners and the Japanese and the Christians. So from the point of view of the Boxers, they were pretty righteous. And
所以他们是要拯救中国与清朝，他们的出发点其实是不错的，想要振兴中国。
And they believed that their Taiji Here they are. These are captured Boxer soldiers who you can see, many of them are teenagers. And they didn't have jobs. They'd, come from the farm to the cities and joined this patriotic movement called the
这些是被俘虏的义和团的军队，看起来有的是还蛮年轻的，10来岁。他们从农村里头，就是到了北京那边来，他们认为他们可以去振兴保护中国。
义和团。So now, who was there to respond? Well, the Empress, Cixi Taiho. The Empress Cixi, she was in charge. She was the Empress. And she, on one hand, had advisors telling her that trade, here she is, Cixi.
慈禧太后，她当时是这个大权是握在她手上。
Taiho, take a look at her. Check out her fingernails. Right? Check out her dress. This is an empress's robe. Here she is, Sagittarian, pretty savvy. She was truly a woman to be reckoned with. She was fierce. And if she had, of course, China is always difficult to rule, but she tried her best, right? Sitting on the imperial throne, and notice her feet. She had bound feet, right? If things had gone slightly differently, she might have been able to lead China into the 20th century, but and this is only the second woman to really consolidate all the power. The first was in the Tang Dynasty. So here she is, and she, face to face with the Boxers, was of two minds. She saw their patriotism and the fact that they wanted to support China, but she knew, by the way, check this out. Here is Cixi. She is holding hands with the wife of the American ambassador.
慈禧太后握着那个美国大使的夫人。
Right? So she was wise enough to negotiate with the foreigners because they'd been through the Opium War. And so she moved. This is the birth of photography. Photography was brand new. And this is the days of hold it, don't move, poof, and then you put the plate back in the camera. So here is the Empress dealing with
那个时代是那个照相机才刚刚发展出来的。
foreigners in a way that gives them some respect, and she's looking out for China. Look at this young girl here, dressed in fancy silk dress. So these are historic moments. There's her feet.
的脚，慈禧太后她能力是很强，她就是中国古代就是武则天是一个皇帝，慈禧呢可以说是第二个。
And it's tragic because at one point it said here, 大清国当今生母皇太后万岁万岁万万岁。10,000 years for the sage mother of the empress of the great Qing nation.
上头这个很年大家能看得到，大清清朝大清国当今的圣母皇太后，她是皇帝的母亲的皇太后，有万岁万岁万岁。
10,000 years for the sage mother of the empress of the great Qing nation. That's the banner behind her. And yet here she is, welcoming and showing affection for the wife of the American ambassador. Patriotic Chinese saw this photo and hated this photo, because she was collaborating with the invaders, with the colonizers, okay? So she tried hard to please both sides, and she wound up pleasing nobody.
他是也相信义和团是确实是爱国的，但是同时他也有那个智慧，他晓得要和西方人怎么去办理外交，所以刚刚会看到他和那几位外交官的夫人在一起。那个照片对一些中国爱国者而言，他们是非常不满意，因为觉得这个慈济太后不应该和这些外国人打交道。
Right, here she is in front of the Forbidden City. This is the wife of the current emperor, her son. So that's her daughter-in-law.
是那时候的皇帝的这个皇后。
So look at the clothes and the white-faced pancake makeup. Here is a eunuch looking on. Check out their embroidery. She is clearly the boss here. But these are palace women, wives of the aristocrats, and her gossip circle, right? Giving her their reactions to everything that was going on in China. So she, at one point, was supporting the Boxers, but at another part, she said the Boxers are going to destroy things. So she called for the 8-road army, 八路军队, 八路国军, right? The 8-fold army came in. She opened the door to them, and that let the soldiers in that you saw.
他刚开始的时候是支持这个义和团，但是后来他发觉这个情形不对，所以施法师说他是邀请8国年轻军来。我不晓得这个历史上是不是这样子，因为至少我记得我学的历史并不是这样子。但是施法师说是慈禧太后邀请了8国年轻军来那个平乱。我们时间也差不多了，我想我们就这边就停下来，剩下不到2分钟。I think our time is almost up. We'll stop here, and I'm not sure whether it's true that the Empress invited the foreign soldiers to come in to China. I mean, it's mistaken, but my memory doesn't tell me that. You know? So that's something we can investigate on that. So I think we'll just stop here and let me see. This will be the dedication of merit.
Didn't I tell you, these are interesting stories. Meeting a beggar in a coffin at night, and meeting a soldier on the road. Doesn't matter, does it? If we have our eyes on the virtue of our nature, of our Buddha nature, then it doesn't matter what kind of world we find ourselves, we know where north, our compass heading, doesn't change. All right, so with that in mind, why don't we dedicate merit? I'll be happy to see you next week to share more of these stories. And tomorrow at...
施法师下礼拜他会亲自到山城来，会在这边的讲法。So next Sunday, Venerable Master will be at CDDD and lecture on the 10 transference in person. 那我们就在这边停下来了。因为线上的朋友，也许你们是自己回想，因为这边时间到了，那王虎城这边你会做回想。阿弥陀佛。运动还没有来吗？